to Thursday Night Stamping with Barb. If it's Thursday evening and I'm here, that's got to be 4 p.m. Pacific, 5 Mountain, 6 Central, and 7 Eastern. So thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I
Want to try Terzepatide?
Yep, I need to turn this down. Okay, so how is everyone? I see some of you are already in the chat. Tony had to go because her kids showed up. Totally get it. I don't know if I'd stop my live, but I might make it fast if my kids showed up. Hello to Tony and Linda and Barbara, Diana, Lauren, Mary, Myra, Sharon, everyone, Bonnie, Joan, everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Hope you guys had a good week. I had a pretty good week. I just had a very interesting experience here. My husband was getting ready for work, and I was in the kitchen, and he yells, Barb, come here, quick. So I'm like, okay, and I go running into the bedroom. He's like, there's a peregrine falcon out there eating something. And I was like, what? Right in our front yard, next to our tree, which is like a couple feet from the sidewalk in front of our house, in our yard, is this peregrine falcon eating something. I'm assuming it's a mouse. I don't really know because it's kind of yucky looking, if you know what I mean. So I was watching this thing and I was just like, wow, that's so cool. And then all of a sudden here comes another falcon flying over the top of this falcon, squawking something. And I think it went up on our roof. And then here comes a third falcon flying over this falcon who's eating and squawking and up on the roof. And I noticed these falcons, and then I looked back at the falcon on the ground, and his tail feathers were all spread out and his wings were all spread out, kind of like a tent covering his prey while he's eating it now. And these falcons up on the roof are now squawking their fool heads off. And we're just watching, and this falcon on the ground is just continuing to eat his food. And then pretty soon, here comes comes one of the falcons off the roof, flies down and like bumps this falcon on the ground. This falcon grabs his food. They both fly off. Excuse me, I'll pull my necklace off. They fly off through our lilac bushes over to our shop, which is in another part of our yard. So I go running out into the living room, and the falcon that I think dive bombed the falcon on the ground was gone. And the one that was on the ground eating his food was up on my shop, and then he flew to the ground, and then he had his little tent open again, and he was sitting there eating his food. And I was like, wow, this is like one of the coolest things ever. We don't see that all the time here. And then I watched him for a little while, and then he took off and flew past, our house and into our backyard. We have kind of a ditch creek that kind of runs through the back of our property, and there's a bunch of trees along the lining of the creek or ditch or whatever it is, and he flew in there. So now I'm kind of wondering, do we have a little falcon family in the trees in our backyard? Because like 3 days ago, I think it was, we were eating dinner, and my husband spotted a falcon out on the fence between us and our neighbors in our backyard. And so we were really checking him out and watching him. I had the binoculars out and everything, and then he flew off, and we just figured, whatever. So clearly there are some falcons that are living around here, which is really kind of cool. So yeah, we have all kinds of wildlife. We see deer every single day. I see pheasants every single day. We see blue herons frequently in the spring. And now we're seeing falcons. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. Deborah says she's watching in Minnesota on the big screen. Yay, Deborah. That's exciting to always watch. Then you get a big view of everything, so you can see up close what I'm going to share with you tonight, right? So that was my big excitement just before coming live here, was I got to watch a falcon eating its prey. So that was kind of fun. That's what I was thinking, Patricia. We might have a peregrine falcon family out there, because I wasn't exactly sure what it was, but my son had done a report on peregrine falcons when he was, I think, in middle school or something like that. And the first one that we saw that was on the fence had his back to us, but he kind of turned a little bit, and I could see his spotted breast. And so that was what made me think that it was a peregrine falcon. And then we looked it up on the internet, and it sure is. And they have these bright yellow feet, which this one does also. So that was pretty cool. My son got his doggy neutered today, so I will be babysitting him tomorrow. So I thought it was kind of weird. The vet said that he could be outside tomorrow, which I thought was kind of weird. I wasn't planning on having him outside. Obviously I can't play ball with him or anything, but So maybe I think I might have him inside for a little bit and then let him go outside and inside and outside. So that should be pretty fun. I also have my Stamp Happy Live tomorrow night at the same time. If you guys are Stamp Happy Academy subscribers, you can watch my live tomorrow night about 5 p.m. Mountain, which would be 4 Pacific, 6 Central, 7 Eastern. I'll be doing the first live in August, so that's kind of crazy that it is August. I mean, I feel like I was just doing my Stamp Happy live in July, and now it's a month later and it's August. So this is just like crazy to me. Anyway, what else is going on? Not really much else, thankfully. I always say that, oh, there's nothing going on here, but actually, I'm very glad that there's nothing going on because that means that things are good and nobody's injured or anything like that. So I'll take it. What else is going on? As you guys probably know, I think I've mentioned this before. I will be leaving in a couple of weeks to go with my son down to Denver to help my daughter move into her new apartment. And then he's going to drive back. I mean, he'll be gone just for like a couple of days. And then I'm going to stay down there. And then I want to fly home at the end of August. I can't remember if it's Saturday or Sunday. But then I'll be flying home. So I will definitely not be live between the 22nd and the 30th, whatever that Thursday is of that week. But I should be live the day before we go. So there you go. Our weather, Debbie, has been, it's been like summery finally. I mean, we did have a lot of, July was a very wet month for us, which is not very normal in Wyoming to have a wet July, but we did. And now it's getting kind of warm here again. So today I think it was 90. Yesterday I think it was 93. They did say there's a possibility of some thunderstorms tonight in the area. So I don't know if that means, me particularly, or if it's just, surrounding me or something like that. I guess we'll see. But yeah, it's been nice. It's been sunny. It's been hot. I work in the basement, so I'm in the basement all day long. So I don't really notice the weather, but I can just see if it's sunny or cloudy out my little basement window that I have in here. But so yeah, it's been pretty nice. I've been enjoying the weather, so that's good. Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. My dad's birthday's today, so if any of you guys have birthdays, happy birthday. You share a birthday with my dad. My dad is 30 years older than me, so next year we will both be having exciting birthdays. I will be 60 and he will be 90. So I definitely will probably be up in Billings next year helping him celebrate his 90th birthday. I would imagine my brother will also come up from Arizona for that as well. So that should be a fun little family get together for my dad's birthday. So yes, that should be fun. So I need to call him as soon as I get done with this. I sent him some cookies in the mail and he got those yesterday. It's like, I don't know what to get him anymore. He's 90 almost. So he literally needs nothing. He doesn't want anything. And so I've kind of this year and last year and for Father's Day, I've just been mailing him cookies. He really likes my molasses cookies. So I made a fresh batch. I put them in a Ziploc bag and then I put them in a padded envelope and then I put it in another padded envelope and then I put it in another padded envelope and then I mailed it off to him. And so he tells me that they come fine. They're not broken or anything. So that's pretty cool. Well, happy late birthday to you, Lauren. She was 68 on the 4th, so that's awesome. Happy birthday to everybody who's got birthdays that we've already missed or that are coming up. So that's pretty awesome. What else do I have? Do I have any? I don't think so. Let's see if I had any birthday cards to share, but nope, I don't have any birthday cards. I think my birthday is done and over with now. So thank you guys, all of you that sent me cards. I do really appreciate that. Always very grateful for that. What else? I think that's about it, honestly. Like I said, it's just not a whole lot that goes on around here, except for the excitement of the falcon. So I'll keep you guys posted on that if I see it again, and if it has food or not. So we'll see. Oh, did my son get a new? Not yet. He's actually looking at one. I think it's the same one that I talked about last week. It's a black truck. He's still thinking about it. I don't know what he's going to do. He does have to do a bit of traveling for his company next week. I don't know what day, but he has to fly down to St. George, Utah, and then pick up a new ice delivery truck and drive it back here. So I can't remember if he's leaving Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday to go. He's flying out of Billings, so he'll get a ride from somebody up there. We'll watch the dog. And then, yeah, then he'll drive the thing back. So from what I understand, it's about, well, a 12-hour trip probably if you don't stop. And or if you drive the speed limit and don't get any gas, which is what he says. And he's like, yeah, well, certainly I have to get gas. So, and he'll be driving, it's a pretty big rig. It's a big ice box truck. So, I mean, I don't know as though he's going to be driving the speed limit since he's never driven this vehicle before. It might be a little, odd for him at first. He'll have to get used to it. So I think he's going to, whatever day he leaves, he's flying down to St. George, and then he'll get in this truck and then he'll start driving it up to here. I think he's going to take 2 days. He'll drive about 8 hours or so the first day, he figured, and then he'll get a hotel wherever he's at. And then he'll drive the third day and finish the trip and then be here with the truck. So we'll be watching the dog tomorrow and then next week also. So that's always kind of fun for me. I don't mind having him here. He's mellowed out quite a bit. When he was a puppy, oh man, there was just no stopping him. He was just go, 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 go all the time. But now that he's a little bit older, he's not quite as high strung, quite as crazy. So he's a little bit easier to take care of now, which is nice. So, all right. Anything else we got in the comments here? We've got Irma here from California, hot Southern California. I have heard it's been pretty hot down that way. Irma, I have a friend who lives in Phoenix, and she said it was 118 there yesterday. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's crazy talk. And then Beverly, she's from Oregon, so I would guess it. Well, I don't know. It might be hot there too, Beverly. I'm not sure. Is it very hot there in Oregon? Okay, I think I'm going to flip the camera and we are going to start. And yeah, so hold on here while I get everything flipped. I guess while I'm thinking about this, if you guys wouldn't mind liking and sharing the video, if you are able to like and share the video, that would be really awesome. Whoops, I guess I got to hit the button 3 times today to get the camera angle to switch. Got to get the old glasses on, as you know, and then my hair clip. And we need to put our tripod on the floor so that we have all this room so that we can do our stamping and whatnot. So as you guys are probably aware, in the month of August, Stampin' Up! Has put our 2025-2027 in-color products on sale for 15% off. Not only does this mean the in-color products themselves, like ink pads, markers, blends, cardstock, DSP, whatever, any other product that has an in-color in it is also included. So here are a couple of things that I'm going to be using today. The Boho Vibes Designer Series paper, because it has Cloud Cover and Secret Sea. And of course, these little gems are called Muted Palette Dots. They have Cloud Cover in them, so they are also included in the sale. So anything that has any of these new in colors in it is on sale. So there's quite a few DSPs, any of the two-tone cardstocks that are these colors, any gems that have these colors in them. The other gems that come to mind, I believe, are these that go with the pear suite. I think because there's Secret Sea in there. And then of course the pear paper also is part of that sale. So yeah, there's lots of things that you might not think are, but if you go to the website, my website, shoppingwithbarb.com, you'll see a banner that says in color products. If you click on that, then there's a listing. All the in color products that are on the sale are shown there. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, we have that going on. They also just updated the last chance list on Tuesday, so there are a lot of new products on there. And then some of the other products that have been on there for a little while are now a little bit cheaper in price. This ribbon comes to mind. This is our petal pink and white ribbon. It started out being $10, then it went to $7, now it's $5. So if you guys want some cheap ribbon, this is a pretty good price for 2 rolls of ribbon. And they are like when I say full rolls, there's a total of 10 yards in the package. So each roll is 5 yards. And I mean, who doesn't need a fun white ribbon? And petal pink is one of my favorite colors. So anyway, just saying, that's just one of the items that I did notice that was reduced in price again. So if there are things that you've been kind of waiting for that are on the last chance list, you might want to check the pricing and see if they've come down a little bit since the last time you looked. All right. And they are available, obviously, while supplies last. Obviously, if you order from my online store, I would very much appreciate it. As you know, I'm on my way to my $1 million. Yes, Judy says you can color that white ribbon, so that makes it even more versatile. And any order you guys place in my online store or any of my shares that I'm offering, like I'm offering a 2-tone cardstock share. I've got the the fine detail glue kit that I'm offering also. Any of those things that you order from me do help me get towards my million. So I'm pretty excited about getting a little bit closer to that every month. And also when you order from me, any order will get you my gift with purchase tutorial. This month it's the spooky Halloween. There are 10 projects that you will get photos and directions for. If your order is $20 or more, you will earn 10% back in Stampin' Rewards. $35 or more, you'll be invited to our monthly Stamp Happy Party, which is happening next Wednesday, August 13th. It's the second Wednesday of the month. And we have a really, really cool card to share with you guys this time. So each of us will make the same card using different products. And then we mail the cards out to one of the lucky winners. All you have to do is watch the video and leave a comment, and then you're entered in the drawing to receive the cards that we actually make. So that's really fun. If you spend $50 or more, you also get my global tutorial, which this month is just random new online exclusive products. So that's pretty fun. And yeah, like I said, any order will definitely help me get to my $1 million, and I would appreciate it very much. Stamp Happy Academy memberships are only $20 a month, and there are 3 live classes every month. The first one is tomorrow. We have our monthly Stamp Happy Party, which is next Wednesday. We have our online class PDF each month, and we have a quarterly bingo, and bingo is this month in August. And we're using the Painterly Pairs suite. For that, it's going to be August the 20th, and we're using the Pairs suite, and you can add that onto your registration if you want to. Otherwise, you can just get the make and take packets. Any way you want to roll with that is fine. Our Charming Day class, I think I have 3 packets left. If you're interested in a packet for the Charming Day class, I believe the link is in the description of this video. And I also have adhesive kits for sale. And then I also do have my fine detail glue brush kit for sale. And we're going to be using that again tonight, so you can see how cool that is. So, all right, let's get started here with our first project. And we are going to be using, since we talked about the Boho Vibes paper, why not pull out the Sunshine Vibes bundle, which is, of course, this fun rainbow set here with lots of fun rainbow designs and other little goodies here. And then we have the stamp set that has this nice bold printing for your sentiments, and then a few other little goodies here. One of them, you can make suns and moons. This, of course, would be for the sun. This is just a fun little kind of explosion. What do you call those things? It's like an asterisk, but not exactly. Anyway, fun set. And then I'm using one of the dies out of the stylish shapes. So this is a fun fold card, and so we're going to start out with this is our card base, and this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm using Cloud Cover, which is one of our in color products that is on sale. And then I have another piece of Cloud Cover, and this is, I got to measure it because now I forgot. I think it's 4. Yes, so it's 4 by 8 1/2, and then it was folded in half, and it's going to just fit right on here like this. And then I have 2 pieces of white. They both measure 3 7/8 by 4 1/8. One's for the inside, one's for the outside. This is our inside piece. And then I have 2 pieces of paper out of the Boho Vibes package. I've got these 2 pieces here, and I'm going to add these to the edges. So let's just go ahead and do that right now. So we'll just add a little glue here. Whoops, we might have a little glue booger there. Right to the ends. Get our fun paper here. Actually, I might need a little bit more than what I have on there, just because this paper is, this is about 1 inch by 4 1/4. Pretty close, if not exactly. And it's maybe a little wider than we need, but you know, that's okay. Oops, I think I need to put it on like this. So that way it mimics the piece on the other side. There we go. Oh, whoops, we got to make sure we get it to the edge. What am I doing here? I am having a bit of a struggle trying to get that. Why is that so difficult? You just line it up with the edge. How hard is it? It's like just folding the cheese, right? Okay, so then this other piece is going to be glued to the front of the card, so we might as well just go ahead and do that also. Just add some glue here, and you're just trying to center it on the piece as best we can here. So we want it flush with the bottom, flush with the top, and even as even as we can get it. There we go. See, a few people are joining us. We've got Yvonne, Rita, and Nancy. Thank you so much for joining me today. Appreciate that. Okay. So then we have our layer of white, and we want to make sure that we have it oriented correctly, because obviously this way isn't going to work. You can tell this is not the right way. This is the way, and we want that so when we can build our rainbows, we are building them properly. So what I decided to do for my rainbows was I took a bunch of the rainbow pieces, the rainbow dies. There's quite a few in here, actually, different options for making rainbows with this bundle. So this is the one that I have right here, this little dotty piece. And if you do get little dots that you can't get out, we've got a little attachment here for your take your pick tool that you can just roll across there, and you can get all those little bits to come out of your die. And they are little teeny tiny hearts, which is kind of fun. And then we'll just shake that off into the trash. So that's one of our dies. So that's this big one here that I've got. And this is actually done out of, what am I trying to say? Cajun Craze two-tone cardstock. Anne is asking if I am doing a paper share, product share for the mini and September online exclusives. Yes, Anne, I am. I should be getting my catalog today. UPS should be dropping off my catalog tonight sometime whenever they get here. And then I can actually see everything that's in the catalog, and then I can make the list of all the products that we need to put into the share, figure out all the pricing and everything like that. So yes, I will absolutely be doing that. So look for an email from me if you're on my newsletter list. That should be coming out probably next week sometime, the actual registration. And then of course I wouldn't be able to send out the product until after I can order it all in September, which I think the first day of ordering is the 5th. So you'd register now, then you would get your products in September, because that's when they go live to customers, and that's when I can order everything in bulk. Okay, thank you for asking that, Anne. So for this project, I decided to use two-tone cardstock. I have some Cajun Craze here. You can tell here's the two sides. So we have the dark side and then the light side. And so I did this piece. I did it off the dark side. So we've got that. And then I also have another piece in here, the smallest rainbow that I decided to use today. And I did it out of both the light and the dark, because I wanted to see which one I thought would be better. And we'll figure that out once we get all the other pieces on, and then we can add that one last. We also have this fun piece. This is another piece. There's two of these in the die set that creates rainbows. And so we can put these together like so, which gives us another rainbow. Those are done out of cloud cover cardstock. And then the next one that we have for this is out of Daffodil Delight, and it is this pattern here. These rainbows are just really cool. This one has like a bunch of little slices in it. Then check this out. This is glimmer paper. I'm not sure if the camera's picking up the sparkle. Maybe right there we can see a little bit of sparkle. Anyway, it is pretty sparkly. This actually comes from something off the Last Chance list. And it might be something that you hadn't even noticed, because it was an online exclusive. It's called the Pastel Ombre Glimmer Paper. And there's 6 sheets total in here. I've got 3 left. So you can see one of them is this kind of purple. And then look at this edge right here. That's like petal pink. So I just cut a little chunk out of that section. And then I have a little petal pink scriggly rainbow. I mean, you can see it kind of ombres into a beautiful, I don't know if this is Petunia Pop or Fresh Freesia, either one, it's beautiful. And then we have the green, and the green kind of morphs from, dark to light to yellow. Anyways, this paper is on sale for half off. So you get 6 sheets of this paper, and it is only $6. This one is probably the least ombre paper in the pack. It's definitely a little bit darker down here. I feel like this is Coastal Cabana, Pool Party, Summer Splash-ish. Definitely darker down here, and then it does get lighter. But these, I think, definitely show the ombre effect a little bit better, these 2 pieces, than the blue one. But anyway, that's where I got that little glimmer. And yes, I do agree. Like rickrack, that is a perfect explanation for that piece right there. Yeah. My mom used to use lots of rickrack on the clothes that she would sew me. And my brother, well, maybe not my brother, he probably didn't get rickrack on his clothes, but I sure did. Okay, so we have that little rickrack one. And then finally, we have to decide if we want to go with the dark a two-tone cardstock rainbow piece. I'll let that set there for a second. There's the dark. What do you guys think? Obviously, we have to glue everything down, but there's the dark, and we can get that out of there. And then here is the light side. Whoops, it's stuck on my finger. The light side. What do you guys think? And you might not even be able to tell too much. Or wait a minute, that's the dark, or that's the light. Yeah, dark light. So it's a little bit different. It does give a little bit of different. Maybe you can't even hardly tell, but I think I like the light better too. Yeah, same thing. Me too, Francie. So let's go with light. Francie and I both agree. And then out of that little scrap that I had, I cut some little hearts, which are also one of the dies in the set. We've got these cute little hearts, and I cut those out of the glimmer paper. So we're going to use those also. So let's go ahead and get all these rainbow pieces attached to our layer. I'm going to start with the biggest one, and I'm going to bring in my silicone mat and my liquid glue and my little glue brush. So I talked about this last week. This is a silicone basting brush that you can either get at the dollar store, on Amazon, or whatever. And then you just cut the bristles off, and then you get this cool looking brush. And what you do with it is you take some liquid glue onto a silicone mat, and then you bring in your piece, and you want to hold your piece down because you don't want the glue to get everywhere. So if you hold it down, and then you just kind of tap, tap, tap your brush into the glue, and then you tap your brush over the piece that you want to stick down, and then you're adding just a bunch of liquid glue to it by doing that. And then you can put your, just throw that, put your brush aside, and then we're going to pick this up, and we're going to place it down on our cardstock piece here, trying to make it the same on both sides. Maybe if I press it at the top and then come around there. Hopefully that's fairly even. I guess it's as even as we're going to get it. Next, I'm going to bring in these two pieces here. These little leafy pieces. I might add a little more glue. And then you just tap, tap, tap your brush in the glue again. Hold it in place. And then dab the glue onto your piece. Do the same thing on this piece. And this just adds some glue. And then, you know, a lot of people use tweezers. I am not really a tweezer person, but I mean, maybe I should be. I don't know. Maybe it would be easier. We'll try. I've got some cross-lock tweezers here. And we're going to set this down. And maybe I'll become a tweezer person. I don't know. And we'll set this one. And this is just a really cool way to add your detailed die cuts to your projects. Yeah. And I do have kits available for this, where you get the silicone mat and a bottle of glue and the brush in your package. And the link is in the description of this video if you are interested in getting one. And as soon as all this stuff dries, I'll show you my method for removing the glue off the brush and the silicone mat. Okay. Get some more. I think I'm actually going to flip this around so I can press down with my finger right there. And this is just a great, great way to get those small detailed die cuts gluey. Put our rickrack piece down. All right, and then finally we have our light two-tone cardstock in the Cajun Craze. And I do still have two-tone cardstock packs for sale. I did have to change up one of them. So if you did order from me already, you might want to check it out again. I do have another pack available because Stampin' Up! Sold out of some of the multi-packs that I was using, so I couldn't use those anymore. So I decided just to purchase a whole bunch of two-tone cardstock in a lot of different colors and just give you a really nice variety. So there's what we have so far. Then I'm going to bring in my little hearts, and I'm going to add a small heart right here in this, or a big heart, excuse me, not a small one, a big heart right here in the center. And so we're going to have a little glimmer action there. Whoops, come on. There we go. And then we're going to add a couple of these hearts up at the top. Get the glue coming out of there. There we go. Whoops, that might be too much. And we'll set one right there. And then I have a small one that I want to add also right next to it, right up here. Okay, so that's what we have so far. So fun. Then we're going to bring in the ribbon. And I could have used the ribbon that we talked about earlier, but I wanted it to be a little bit wider. The ribbon that we were talking about, I believe this is 1/4 inch ribbon, and this is 3/8, I think. Is that what it is, or is it a half? 3/8. So it's a little bit wider, and I wanted it to be a little bit wider for my project. So all I did, this is a different ribbon. This is also on the last chance list. This is a scallop petal pink ribbon, and this stuff is also reduced again. It started out at $12, then it was $10.80, now it is $8.40. So yeah, it's continuing to go down in price. So all I did was take my Stampin' Mist bottle and I just wrapped my ribbon around my bottle and I tied it into a knot. And then I just slipped it off the bottle and cut it off and ended up with this loop right here. So we'll set that over there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of figure out where on my card I want my knots to be. And I think about right here is maybe where I want it to be. So then I'm going to pull my loop over to the side here and I'm going to cut it so that I have plenty of ribbon to fold to the back so that I can secure this to the back of the white layer. So I'm just going to fold that back. I'm going to bring in my Scotch tape because I am a Scotch tape person for ribbons, and then I'm going to pull this tight so that it's nice and straight. At least I hope so. And I'm going to pull that over, and then we're going to tape that down as well. How many tape people do I have here watching? Are you guys tape people or are you glue people? I am definitely a tape person. Oh, Pat is watching tonight. Pat is on my team. Hello, Pat. Nice to see you, quote unquote, right? Okay, so now we can add this to the front of our flap there. Maybe I'll do dimensionals. Tape and tear and tape, says Judy. Irma says both. I guess it depends. Very rarely I will actually use adhesive on my ribbon, but it is pretty rare. I usually use Scotch tape. And Nancy says tear and tape. And Wendy says tape, not the Amish tape that Kelly uses. I don't get that, Wendy. That's got to be a Kelly joke, and I'm not even sure what that means. Amish tape. That's interesting. I'll have to ask her what that is all about. Okay, so now we need our little sentiment for the front. So we have this little banner that I pulled out of these Stylish Shapes dies. So this is one of these sets. I'm sure everybody has this. If you don't, you absolutely need it. I use these constantly. We've got squares with stitching, we've got circles with stitching, and we have banners with stitching, and they're amazing. And so we've got our banner here, and I'm going to bring in my cloud cover cards, or excuse me, cloud cover ink pad. Now you may be wondering, how do I have a cloud cover ink pad? Demonstrators were given the option to purchase the cloud cover ink pads if we wanted to, and I did, and so here it is. But they did not put them up for sale to the general public because the quality of the pad, the way the ink might change, they didn't feel comfortable selling that. So unfortunately, if you want one of these, you can, some people don't care. You can purchase the white craft pad, which is a foam pad that is empty. You can fill it up with your cloud cover ink refill. And if the color changes, it changes. Or you can purchase some Stampin' Spots. We do have a couple of sets of spots that have cloud cover ink spots in them. Or you can purchase empty spots and make your own cloud cover ink. But I happen to have a pad here. Actually, you know what? I need my plastic spoon because when I inked this up, it's a little juicy. So I need to kind of press that ink back into the pad with my plastic spoon, and Try that again so we get a good imprint. There we go. Let's close this up. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in a hole punch. This is a 1/16 of an inch hole punch. And I am going to try to punch this in the middle next to the word hello. That's pretty dang close. Then I need some linen thread. And I have a chunk already in here. Where are you, chunk? Here we go. And then I need a floss threader. Now that I am the owner of a 3-tooth bridge, I have to use a floss threader every day when I brush my teeth. When I floss my teeth, I get to use a floss threader. All right, so now I am going to tie this tag onto my ribbon, but not before I cut this off, like so. And then I am just going to take my tag, I'm going to lay it down. We're going to go underneath our ribbon here. And we're going to tie this tag to our ribbon. And then I'll probably end up gluing the tag in place. Just so, well, I don't know. We'll see. If it's going to do what I want, then I might not. And actually, I'm just going to do a knot because we already have a knot. We don't need another, we don't need a bow, I don't think. Okay. Then we can snip off the ends of our linen thread. And then we have our little tag here. Yeah, I kind of wonder if I might need to tack it down just ever so slightly, like maybe with a mini glue dot, or I mean, not a glue dot, a mini dimensional. If I want to just have that look like it's floating, but we'll actually tap it down there. Okay, that is so cute. And then for the inside, I took another pattern of the piece of paper out of the DSP pack and I added it to the bottom there. But before I added it, I stamped the little leafy image that's in the stamp set in the cloud cover. And then the little starburst asterisk thing, I kind of threw some little daffodil delights in there, stamped my sentiment in Cajun Craze, and then I added a couple more of those glitter hearts that we got. So let me go ahead and add this to the inside. And then we also have an envelope. And this is kind of a fun fold card, nothing too fancy about it, but it is a fun fold. And my next card is another card that's very similar to this, but slightly different. So there we have that. And then I don't know if we need any gems. Let me take a look here and see what we think. I don't think I've even used these yet. I'm kind of wondering if these tiny cloud cover dots, if like, you know, they might look okay if we just sort of added them kind of randomly, a few here and there. Maybe if I got one there and maybe one there, just for a little more interest on the front there. Don't know if it was necessary or not, but here it is anyway. So there we go. Super fun card, very simple. And then here's my envelope. Just added another piece of the designer series paper to the envelope there. And now we have a fun card. So let me do a little bit of cleanup here with some of this stuff that we don't need out for this particular project. And while I am kind of cleaning up, I'm going to bring my silicone mat back in and my brush, and I'm going to show you how I get this off. Now, a lot of times you can just rub it off, like the big piles of glue, they'll just rub right off. But sometimes these little dots where you've been putting your glue are a little harder to get off. And so I like to just use a piece of Scotch tape. So I'll just take my Scotch tape and I will just go over those dots of glue that are kind of left on my sheet. And it just picks them right up, which is very cool. And some of these maybe are a little bit larger and they could be rubbed off, but some of them aren't, and they're just kind of a little more difficult to rub off. So I just like to use some tape, which I think is kind of interesting. And then finally, we're going to clean our brush as well. And I also use tape for that. So here's my brush. It does have glue on it. And so I like to take the tape and then you just kind of press your brush into the tape and then it just kind of pulls the glue right out of the brush and then cleans it right off for you. So no mess, no fuss, no nothing. Everything's nice and clean now, and then we just put everything away. So again, if you are interested in getting a fine detailed glue kit, the description of the video has the link. And I am getting another shipment of stuff in tonight, so I should be able to get them out to you right away. So there we go. All right. Let me bring in my next bucket of stuff for our next project. And for this project, we're going to use a couple of old papers. One of them is on the last chance list now. One of them is not. This is the, I think it's called Floral Designs. Yeah, Floral Delight. This is the Floral Delight paper. It is not on the last chance list, but it is still available. And you probably have already seen this. It is a collection of some gorgeous yellow flowered print with some pool party accents. So here are our 6 patterns of florals. And then on the back side are just some kind of neutral patterns that can be used in lots of different ways. And so we are actually going to be using this little piece today, the checkered. I love checkers, polka dots, stripes, and checkers. I love. We're also going to be using the floral gingham, floral and gingham. Now this is on the last chance list. It is 10% off right now. So instead of $10, it's $9. And it's got 3 different pieces of vellum. We've got the floral, we've got the check, and then we have another floral pattern that's a little lighter. So we're going to be using these papers today. And we're going to be making another card that is very similar to the one that I just made, but it is different. So this is like 2 ways to make the same thing, basically. So we are going to also be using the Bright Borders stamp set, which is also just went to the last chance list. It has a coordinating punch called To the Point. The punch is not on the last chance list, but the stamp set is. And this is 20% off right now. So instead of 20, it's 18. I'm also going to be using the Tags of Thanks. This is also just went to the last chance list, not the punches, but the stamp set was 18. Now it's $14.40. And then I'm also going to be using the Fancy Border dies. They also just went to the last chance list. Instead of 34, they're now $23.80. So that's a pretty good discount on that die set. So I have my pieces and parts here. There's a lot of them. Okay, so for this card, we're going to start out with an 8.5 by 5.5 inch card base. And as you can probably see, I have some flaps here. So what I did was I folded my card in half, and then I put it on my trimmer. I lined it up at the 1 inch mark, and I brought my cutting blade down, and I just went right up, cutting up to the score line. Now our cutting blade has a little, let me just see if I could get it out of here and I can show you. Come on, I know you want it. You fall out on me all the time. There we go. Right on the edge is like a mark here. And so when you're going up the track, you can see this mark and you can line that right up with your score line, and that's where you'll stop. Then I rotated it around, put it at the 1 inch line again, and this time I came down from the top, did that same thing, and then I stopped right again at the score line. So then this is what I have, a card with a couple of flappy doodles here, okay? So then what I have is a piece of, let's see, we have 2 pieces of white. One of them is a 4 1/4 inch square, and then one of them is 3 3/8 by 4 1/8. I also have a scrap. I also have 2 pieces of white. These both measure 7/8 of an inch by 4 1/4. Okay. And they are going to go with these 2 pieces of the vellum. And so here is vellum kind of just laying on my table. And then here is vellum backed with white. And it is just so much brighter and just more beautiful if you back it on white. I love it. Anyway, the DSP pieces, these are 3/4 by 4. So we are going to go ahead and get some glue on the back of these. Now, you could use your glue brush and everything for this, but because this particular glue or this particular design of vellum has flowers on it, you can get away with just kind of adding a little bit of glue to the backside of these flowers, and then it doesn't really show through. And so that's what we're going to do to get this to stick down. All right, and so there's just a very slight border around these pieces, like a 1/16 of an inch. There we go. And then we're going to do that same thing here. Like I said, if you just kind of go on those flowers, then you can't really see through your paper, which is nice. Otherwise, I would recommend using the glue brush and kind of spreading it on there. Speaking of the glue brush, here's kind of a funny thing. I was looking at YouTube the other day for a glue brush, and I also found that men have been doing this for years, using silicone brushes to apply their glue to their woodworking pieces. I actually came across a video by a young man. He's probably 18, and he had pulled a basting brush, I believe, out of his mom's kitchen because he had wanted to do this. This was like 7 years ago when he made this video. And so he had his basting brush. It had the long bristles, and he dipped it in his glue, and he was putting it on. And he was like, yeah, this isn't working so good. I need to cut these bristles off. So he cut the bristles off of the brush. So who would know that 7 years later, us stamping gals would also start using silicone basting brushes with our crafting projects? Because, I mean, what is paper? It's wood, right? So I thought that was pretty funny. So he didn't have any idea what he was doing, how he was helping us when he did that. I think his name was Dylan. So thanks, Dylan. All right, we'll just add this little guy to the other side. And again, these borders are very small, like about a 1/16 of an inch is all you're going to have on the borders. There we go. Okay. And then for the inside, I've already done it. So this is my larger piece. This is my 4 1/4 inch square. So I took another piece of the Designer Series paper out of the Floral Delight package, cut a 3/4 inch strip and added it to the bottom. And then I pulled my sentiment out of the Tags of Thanks set that says, "You made my whole day." So we've got the "You made my whole day." And then the Bright Borders has this fun little kind of daisy flower image that I just kind of stamped around there. So we're going to put this on the inside before we actually glue our flaps down. So you want to get your inside piece done also. So don't glue these outside flaps down until you get this piece in. And so we're just going to try to center it from side to side and top to bottom. And I think that's fairly centered. Then what we do is we just pull the flaps and we just glue those all the way down. So you basically end up almost with the same looking card that we just made, but it's the same but different. Hello, Melanie. I see Melanie's joining us tonight. All right, so there we go. So then this is our flap. This is the only thing that opens. Okay. And so then we can decorate that. So I've got my piece of white here, and this piece of white, what did I say? This is 3 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then my piece of Designer Series paper is 3 1/4 by 4. All right. Joanne is also here. She's jumping in late from church. Thanks for joining us, Joanne. And like I said, I did want to use the checkered pattern because I am just a sucker for checks, polka dots, and stripes. So I'm going to add this, and again, very slight border on all of these pieces. I just wanted something to pop. I tried using it without the white layer, and it just did not look that good. It needed the white to kind of pop back here. All right, so there, we're going to put that on here shortly. Okay, so then what I have for the fancy borders, I have a piece of old olive, and it is 3 1/4 inches wide, which is the same as the Designer Series paper. And then it was about 2 1/2, about 2 3/4 inches tall. 2 3/4 inches tall. So what I did was I took one of the dies out of the borders here. I used, let's see, this one, and I think this one. So what I did was I kind of centered my paper into this die, and then I ran it through and then I flipped it over and I did the exact same thing again on the other side. So I kept this in the center so that it would be uniform on both sides. And I just see one of my other team members, Kathy, is joining us. Hello, Kathy. Then for my pool party piece, this one's quite a bit longer. It's, I don't even know, maybe 5. It doesn't matter. We're just going to cut it off. And then it was, what was this one? This was about 1 3/4-ish, 2 inches wide. And I took this piece here and I did the same thing. I tried to center it on both sides. So just kind of kept in mind, you know, how much I had hanging off both ends. And then I ran it through and I flipped it over and I put it on again being mindful, and then I stuck that together. So these are kind of close, but not completely close. So we're going to stick that on here anywhere we want in the middle. Actually, I could put the glue on this. That would be easier. Now that I'm looking at this, maybe I didn't even care about this. I did not care about this. Actually, I lied. They're not even, and I didn't care because I'm actually going to cover it up. That's why. I was like, why is this not even? Scrap. I love using scraps. I am the scrap queen. You will never see me throwing good pieces of cardstock away because I can always use them for something. All right, so now I can just trim off the excess following that first line on the olive. Okay. Then I brought in a 2 3/8 inch circle punch out of Daffodil Delight, our large 2 3/8 inch circle. That's why I didn't care, because it doesn't have to be lined up in the middle because the punch is going to cover, so you wouldn't be able to tell anyway. So we've got that circle, which I am going to glue down with just glue. And so we're going to center this on here. Okay, so that's going to go right on here. So we'll just glue that down. Oh, I didn't glue this yet either. That's okay. We'll glue this to that and then that to that. How's that? All right, we're looking to center it as best we can. And of course, it's the same length, or the same width, excuse me, as the checkered piece. There we go. Get that pressed down, and then we'll add our glue to this piece here. And we'll put that right here. Sometimes I forget some of the fantastic designer series papers that we have until like the last chance list comes out. So I'm going through it and I'm like, oh, what's on this list? And then I stumble across this vellum. I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot I even had that. And then I remember that it goes with this paper. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Like I said, basically the same as the first card, but not. So then we need to do our stamping. So here is a scrap of white. I'm going to pull in a foam mat. Where's my to the point punch? I just had it. Here we go. So there's that. I've got one of the border pieces from the stamp set. This one has the little leaves, or maybe they're little flowers. I'm not sure. We're doing them in Old Olive. All right, so we're going to do it this way to make it easy to get the punch around it. Okay, so there we have our little, whatever they are, leaves or whatevers. And then the set also has a thank you sentiment. So I'm going to use the thank you. And I'm going to try to center it. Actually, you know what? I'm going to stamp my flowers first. So there's that little flowery piece we talked about that looks like a bunch of little daisies. And I'm just going to stamp that right there in the middle. And then I'm going to bring in my sentiment. Try to have it be straight, centered, all that good stuff. And then we're going to stamp that right over those cute little flowers. How cute is that? Then we can just bring our punch in and crop that out. Okay. Let me get rid of these ink pads so I don't stick my hand in them. So then I'm going to pull in some, well, it's not twine, it's trim. It's gold and silver trim. It's like 1/8 inch. It also just went last chance. So it's half price at $4.50 for the 2 rolls, which is a pretty good price. And I am going to do the zigzaggy thing behind here. So figure out how big I want my loops and all that good stuff. And then we're zigzagging it behind. Oops. Oh, for heaven's sakes, maybe I need to pull out some more because I'm having a struggle. Part of my struggle is that this trim is not exactly the same on both sides. So one side is very, very shiny and gold, and then the other side isn't. And so I'm trying to make sure that the shiny side is what's going to show. There we go. Now we got it. Okay, and I want to turn it like that. Cut that off, and then we'll kind of look at it. And I'm kind of anal about how these things are on my card. So I am probably going to stick some tape on it. Well, not probably. There's no probably about it. I absolutely am sticking some tape on this. There. And then I can look at it and I can see how does it look. I think it looks pretty good. I'm going to pull this just slightly. Make that a little smaller. All right. Then I can snip off my ends. And then we're going to add this to the front with some dimensionals. Get my dimensionals out here. We're going to put one at the top. I just pulled the top of that dimensional off, and one at the bottom of our label. And we're just going to add it to our circle, trying to make it even. So cute. And then finally, I have these little bees, and the bees are super cute. And what are they called? I think they're just called tiny bee trinkets. Now, most of you know that I am not a fan of the yellow and black bugs, but these little tiny things are actually pretty cute, and they're not yucky. You know what I mean? Like wasps, when you look at their nasty faces, they're yucky. These are not yucky. These are cute. So these I can handle. And I just put a little blob of glue down there. And then I'm just going to place my little bird. And you know what? I saw somebody do this in a video, and I don't remember who it was. But she takes her tool apart when she's doing detailed things like this. And so like I had the bee stuck to my stuff. She makes sure that she has the point of her take her pick tool in her other hand. And then as she's pressing this down, then this can just immediately hold that in place, and then you can let go. So that is pretty cool, whoever that was that I was watching, and I don't remember. Okay, so that is our two cards that are basically the same, but yet different. So, I mean, looking at them like this, they basically look the same, right? But then this one, obviously, is two separate pieces, and this one is just the one piece that's cut. So, yeah, I don't know what way a person would want to do it or would have to do it, but either way, they're basically the same. So yeah, two different ways to kind of make the same card. So I hope you guys enjoyed that tonight. Again, I will be here next week, but I think it's the next, I should be here the next week. So I should be here for 2 more weeks, and then the next week I should not be here. And I do think I have a little more glue stuck in my brush that I need to get out. Yep, there it is. So I just pressed that into my tape, and it pulled the rest of that glue right out of there. So there you go. If you need a fine detail glue kit, you can get it from the description in the video. And if you need some two-tone cardstock, you can get that from the description in the video too. Oh, and I just added a bunch of stuff to my retired items store on my blog. And if you're interested in some retired items, you can find that at barbstamps.com/shop. And that will all come up. So thanks again, you guys, for watching. I appreciate you so very much. I'm grateful for your friendship and that you watch me pretty regularly. A lot of you do, and I appreciate that so much. And I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.